Hello, this is Mr.wineOwine, and today I'm having this table wine Grenache Shiraz blend. It's a very basic wine from south of France, Pays d'Oc, but actually I can make it even better than it is. Guess what? Why not having something to eat with it, like a charcuterie and cheese board? It would be way much better with it, right? That's what we're gonna talk about today. We're actually gonna see some the basics of food and wine pairing. Hi, so yes, we are going to talk about food and wine pairing today, but just before I wanted to tell you a few words about myself. I'm passionate about wine and spirits, and it's also part of my job. And during this pandemic, unfortunately, like many other bartenders and servers, I missed my job, so I thought about starting this channel about everything related to food and wine and spirits. And for first video, I had like a lot of different ideas, but I thought like, since we're all at home, or at least most of us are at home and have plenty of time to cook, I thought maybe I can give you like some tips about how to pair some wine with your food. Like this, next time that you want to have a nice meal, well, you're gonna be able to do it like a sommelier. A lot of people have no idea about the effect that has the food on the wine and vice versa. Some even says that they don't like wine. But have you ever tried it with the right dish? Well, first of all, no matter if you want to choose the dish or the wine before, you need to analyze every component of it. If you were having like a lean meat, like grilled chicken with pasta, if you decided to have the same dish with a rich Alfredo sauce, it wouldn't be the same, and in fact, not the same pairing. So you need to analyze every component, and there is 5 of them. There is the main ingredient, there is the sauce, which is often the most important, the cooking method, the sides, and of course like the condiments, if you are going to use any. By doing this, you will be able to answer those 4 questions. Is my dish overall richer or leaner? Is it acidic? Is it more on the salty side or on the sweet side? And is it spicy? Just by doing this, you will have already done 50% of the work. Now what you need to is to understand the major interactions between food and wine. And we can classify those interactions in 5. The first one would be the tannin and the fat. Tannins love fat and fat love tannins. They're meant to be together. You probably have heard this before, but if you don't like strong wine like Shiraz or Cabernet, or if you don't like a rich meat like ribeye, just try both together. You will see that actually the tannin in the wine will reduce your perception of the fat, and conversely, this big bold red wine will seem like pretty smooth, well balanced after all. Then you have a second rule, which is the salt. A very salty dish makes your mouth salivate. And the best way to help with that is actually to clean your palate with something more acidic, like a Minute Maid lemonade. No, heck no, we're not drinking high fructose corn syrup. That's not good for you. I mean a dry white wine, of course. And that's why usually they tend to go very well with seafood or oysters, mussels, because those dishes are usually more salty. And if you don't like white wine, and if you rather have like a red wine, I would say if you go for something tannic, it may make your mouth salivate even more, and you will feel that this wine is astringent. So you need to go for something light, bright, less tannic, like a Pinot Noir or a Gamay perhaps. Then there is a third rule, and it's the sugar. If you ever thought that desserts wine were like too sweet for you, well, that's probably right, but it's because it's meant to be sweeter than the desserts. In fact, if it was less sweet, the wine will be tasteless. Another action also that has the sugar in the wine, it's if you want to have a dry wine, this one will become even drier, and it may even seem like austere. So if you have like a meal that contains a sweet sauce, like orange chicken, you better want to consider a wine more on the sweet side for it. Another interaction will be the acid, and it's easy to remember because acid likes acid. So if you have like a dish that contains like a sour sauce with some citrus, and it's one of the major components of your meal, a fresh and lively wine should be a great match for it. They are usually from cold places because the lack of sun during the growing season makes the grapes higher in acid, which result in natural tart wine. The last interaction that we are going to talk about is the heat of the spices. Alcohol tends to amplify the feeling of spicy, and the other way around. It is like if you were throwing some alcohol on a fire. This one will significantly increase. The key to balance this is to have a wine slightly sweet, low in alcohol. Just try it at home. Have like a hot curry chicken and try it with like a semi-dry Riesling versus a bold Shiraz. The difference will be obvious. There is also a couple of other rules in addition of those 5 interactions that works pretty much all the time. First will be what grows together goes together. So it is related to what the French call terroir, and that doesn't have any translation of course, but it is all the factors that influence everything growing in the same region. So the climate, the soil that will impart some characteristic to a wine and a vegetable grown locally. It is like if you were having like some cheese from Oregon, and if you would drink it with a local wine, like a Pinot Noir from Willamette Valley or Pinot Gris, both will complement each other. Which brings me to the complementing rule. On the same way that you have some attributes in common between some products on the same region, you also have some other similar elements between food and wine. In the flavors, like for example between an Italian Barolo and some truffle, you will have an earthy wine and an earthy vegetable. Or between like a Chianti, which is like a herby wine, kind of like herby notes, and if you serve it with like a herb crusted lamb, that would go perfectly together as well. Then you have the texture between like a buttery Chardonnay and a buttery sauce, and the intensity that you definitely want to match if you want to have like a wine and a dish that goes well together, because you don't want to have the wine overwhelming the food or vice versa. So basically everything that brings a wine closer to the food will be a good point. And the last rule, it's not my favorite and I would not recommend you to use it unless you feel comfortable with it, but it is contrasting. We are looking to do the contrary of what we just talked about. So sometimes, you know, opposites can attract, and a very sweet wine could be a perfect match with a very salted cheese. So I hope now that you have all the basics tools to make your own pairing, that you will be able to answer like this question. If I ask you which wine would you have with let's say cedar planked salmon with asparagus and beurre blanc sauce. I know this sounds kind of fancy and it's probably not the food that you will cook at home during this quarantine, but let's say you want to have like a nice dinner, fancy fine dining. Would you rather have like a crisp, fresh Sauvignon Blanc, so more on the acidic side, or would you rather have like an oaky, rich, buttery Chardonnay? Well, even if you're not a Chardonnay drinker, I definitely recommend you to try it that way, because you will have the components, the oak, in the Chardonnay that will marry very well the salmon that has also some oak, I would say, flavors from the cedar, as well as this texture between the buttery Chardonnay will complement the texture of this sauce, which is also like a butter-based sauce. And if you don't want to have any white wine, if you rather have like a red wine, that's also possible. Actually, there is always a solution. It's not like one kind of wine for one kind of food. It's all dependent about what you like as well. So if you rather have a red, just find the same components, a little bit of oak, about the same intensity, so you don't want like a strong red wine because you don't want to overpower your salmon. And you probably won't find any wine that has like, as a red wine that has like a buttery side, but the tannin could work as well with this creamy buttery sauce. So little bit of tannin, little bit of oak, well balanced, more on the lighter side for a red wine. I would say you could have a nice Pinot Noir from Burgundy. And if you don't like Burgundian wine, it's fine. You can also have a Pinot Noir from Oregon. They are pretty great, similar, more fruitful wines. Well, I hope this tutorial did help you and it wasn't like too boring for you. If you want to share it, you're more than welcome to do it. And if you want to give me a thumb up, will be greatly appreciated. If you have any questions or if you would like me to speak about a specific topic in the next video, could be anything, could be a bottle of wine or could be a wine region, spirits, just feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching again and see you to the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay home and stay hydrated. Santé!